Hi, welcome to Storm the Field. I am Mathis, joined here by Trey and Rob. Today is still Wednesday, August 24th, 2022. Getting right into our doubleheader. You'll be getting this at the same time as our Big 12 prediction. This is following right behind, and not really much else to say. We're going to jump right into what we're still going to call the Pac 12 North, just for splitting it up purposes. So we're going to start there. Trey, we're starting with Cal.
Cal, they're mediocre. They should beat the teams that they should, and they should lose to the teams that they shouldn't. I don't have them upsetting any major teams at all this year. I mean, I just have them at run of the mill 6-6.
I have them at 6-6 as well, 4-5 in conference. Uh, they pretty much have a really strong beginning. I have them going 5-1 and then falling off 1-5 to finish the second half of the season. So 4-5 in conference, 6-6 overall.
Quentin's got him at 5-7. I got him at 5-7 too. I just think it's really, really hard to be already middle of the pack and then play Notre Dame in your out of conference. And so I actually got them starting out 3-3. I got them losing their first, or two out of their three first conference games. And geez, I don't.
I have them 3-0 starting out conference play.
I got them going 2-1 because they're playing probably the two worst Power Five teams in the whole FBS.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got them. I don't want to get into too much of spoilers right now. I'll come back to what I'm saying later, just because I'd have nothing to talk about if I say it now. And so, 5-7, put a pin in it, and I'll be back. Okay, now we're moving on from one of the middle of the road to what I consider the best team in the North. Obviously, they're getting rid of divisions, so it's not going to matter. But just traditionally, this is the North that you see on screen right now. Trey, I think we got some agreement here.
Yeah, we do. I think they're the best team in the Pac-12. I have them losing that neutral site game to Georgia, which is expected. Georgia's just a better team overall, and then I have them going on a 9-game winning streak, losing to Utah, and then beating Oregon State at home or on the road at Oregon State this year. So I have them finishing at 10-2.
I have the exact same thing. I have them losing 2 games. The only 2 teams on their schedule that I think are better than them, the Georgia game and the Utah game. Have them going 8-1 in conference and 10-2 overall.
I think there's said everything that needs to be said already. Pretty cut and
Did we all
dry.
pick the same games? Did we pick the same losses?
I didn't exactly have a game picked.
Okay.
I think that Utah, if they're going to stumble, is that Oregon game because I don't think Utah is going undefeated. But I don't know. I think they have a chance to get upset. It's first year coach. Think 9-3, 8-4 is in play, but I also think 11-1's in play. So obviously we're not Pac-12 aficionados. We're North
From the
Texas.
South.
Yeah, we just. I got them at 10-2 though.
It just
Think
it
10-2 is
doesn't
most
mean as
likely.
much.
Yep, it does. SEC just means more down here.
Yeah, it is what it is.
I think it all means a lot
Well,
to
it's
me.
football. We'll give them that. It's football.
Pac-12
It's
after
college
dark is one of
football.
my favorite things.
Yeah.
It's right after you think the night's ending, and you get to stay up until 1 o'clock in the morning, watching some more people beat each other up. So I'm not complaining.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah.
Unless you got a Hawaii game at home, then you might be up until 4 o'clock on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
yeah, maybe so. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to their in-state rival. You got Oregon State.
Oregon State, run-of-the-mill team, middle of the pack. I had them going 8-4 this year, losing to Utah at Utah. Yeah, and losing to teams that they should, beating teams they should. Not really expecting much from them.
Yeah, I have them just under 500 at 4-5 in conference, 7-5 overall. With the going 3-0 in non-conference games, which makes them bowl eligible, but nothing really to write home about with Oregon State. Just beating the teams they should and losing to the teams they should.
Trey, Quentin agrees with you. He got him 8-4.
Yep.
I'm just gonna let you speak for him here because I got him at 7-5, just a little lower. I still think the 8-4 is probably more likely than 6-6 because I do think. I mean, this team had a good year last year. They were actually in the run for a while for that North bid for the championship. Oregon ultimately took that away by the end of the year, and they just kind of ran with it. And it was really important for them to beat Ohio State last year because that gave them a great out-of-conference win and gave them the better overall record. I got them at 7-5 this year. I'm not expecting huge regression, but I don't expect any quantum leaps either. And so I kind of just got them falling to like about 7-5, 8-4, that range. So when I'm picking these schedules, it just you find the wins and losses, then you got your swing games, and I think I just had one of the swing games going the other way. So that gets them at 7-5. And once again, we got a little more agreement. Got Stanford. Trey?
Long way away from them Christian McCaffrey days. Stanford really isn't what they used to be.
What a fall from grace.
I had them losing to pretty much everybody in the Pac-12 with the exception of Washington, Arizona State, and Washington State. I had them losing at the end of the year to BYU, which is also something else that's big. But yeah, they're just one of the bottom feeder teams in the Pac-12 and not expecting much from them.
Yeah,
I got them 4-8 overall, 3-6 in conference. Only wins they got are against Oregon State, Arizona State, and Washington State. So, no major upsets. You could almost call the loss to Oregon State an upset for Oregon State, but or beating them actually. So, nothing spectacular. 3-6 in conference.
Quentin's got him at 3-9. He's not here once again. I don't know if y'all saw last video or not, but he is busy tonight, and we're trying to get these all done before the week is up. And so we're doing a little double header tonight. I got him at 4-8, just like the rest of y'all. It's just this is really tough for me because obviously we're doing all the conferences, not specifically well versed in Pac-12 areas of life. So if any are on the comments saying, "Oh, you're wrong, you got them," they could be 6-6 or fighting for games here. If I'm looking at Cal and Stanford and seeing what I saw last year and seeing what they have, it's just it's hard for me to pick these games and just know for sure. I don't have a whole lot of stock in 4-8 versus 5-7 or 3-9 or 6-6. Really anywhere in that realm. It's just kind of what I think. And for some of y'all Stanford fans, I really hope I'm wrong for your sake. And so I guess we'll just see. Moving on to Washington. Just keep in mind they got brand new coach. So hopefully some better offense than they had last year. Trey?
Brand new coach. I'm not expecting much from them. I expect them to take a little leap in being 7-5 this year. I had them losing to teams like Michigan State, UCLA, Oregon, teams that they should lose to, and I don't have them beating anybody major. Just not expecting much from them as well.
I've got them 9-3 overall, 7-2, losing to UCLA and Oregon. Both of those games on the road. Have them losing their third game to Michigan State. I think with the recent move of USC and UCLA to the Big Ten, I think Washington as well as Oregon are going to probably take that a little bit on the chin, and I see Washington competing. I think losing to Oregon late in the season is going to knock them out of the Pac-12 championship, but I see them going 7-2 in conference and making a run for it. But I think that snub from the Big Ten is going to backfire for some of the USC and UCLA teams. But similar to what happened to Oklahoma and Texas in the Big 12.
Yeah, you paint a target on yourself.
The two best teams from the Big 12, and neither of them made the conference championship.
Yeah, Quentin's got him 8-4, so he's probably somewhere in between you and Trey. I got him at 7-5. It's just, I know you kind of lost the team if you look at it similar to Texas, but they went 4-8 last year, and I just think 9-3 is a little bit too much of a stretch for me. They had they had a lot of expectations, but obviously Vegas and us think that this year they're going to bounce back. We don't put too much stock in that 4-8, but I just don't know if I see them flipping that schedule from last year and doubling their wins. So I got them at about 7-5, but I think anything else is a pleasant surprise if you're a Husky fan. Now we're going to move to their in-state rival. I know I say that a lot, but they're right next to each other a lot too, so it's an easy transition. Trey, you got them at 5-7.
Fortunately, at the beginning of the year, I had them going 2-1 with their only loss coming at Wisconsin. But they have to play the rest of the season. So I have them finishing up at 5-7, losing to all of the best teams in the Pac-12 and beating their in-state rivalry week to finish off the year.
I pretty much have to agree with Trey, except for that last game. I see them losing to Washington the last game of the season, going 4-8 overall, 2-7 in conference.
Trey, I guess that Quentin has almost an identical look to you. And Rob, I think me and you probably got them about the same thing too. And I'm not going to keep beating the dead horse. I'm just going to say I agree with y'all. There's not much I can really add to that. And now we are going to be moving on to what would be the Pac-12 South. We're going to start off with my sleeper for the Pac-12 championship. Got Arizona.
Also known as the worst Power 5 team in the FBS. I have them going 1-11. They could be so bad that they could go 0-12 in my opinion, losing to North Dakota State, which so happens to be the best FCS team in the nation. Basketball, this would be a different story. They'd be at the top of the Pac-12 for me, but unfortunately for them, this isn't basketball.
Well, I can't disagree with Trey. I've got them going 2-8. I'm giving them a home win over Colorado, 1-8 in conference.
All right. Me and Quentin, same place. I don't know what the numbers look like now, but when Rob made our little spreadsheet with the over-under Vegas win totals in every game for us to highlight either red or green. That's how we picked our games. So what I'm looking at right now is the Vegas win total for Arizona is 2.5. And I'm telling you,
that's not even winning all your non-conference games.
Cash that over. It's coming. The over is hitting for the Arizona Wildcats. I got them at 3-9. I got 2 non-con games winning. I think they play Mississippi State. I got them losing that game. But hey, stranger things have happened. Maybe 4-8 is in play. I also got them beating Colorado. I don't know. Weirder things have happened. Mike Leach It would not be the first time he lost to one of the worst teams. He's lost to FCS teams as a Power Five many times, and I think
Yeah,
he's a
that's
great
true.
coach. But some guys they just drop some over time or two. No, no, no,
Yeah, but it's hard to
no
do it for
shame in it.
Arizona.
And so cash the over because I think they're beating Colorado. I'm sorry to any Colorado fans watching this. I I think there might be some death threats coming because ooh, we are not too high on Colorado this year. I hope I'm wrong for your sake. Uh, but for now, we're gonna move on to the Sun Devils, Arizona State. Trey, what you got?
Man, their coach is on the hot seat this year. He was expected to turn around that program, and he just hasn't. I feel like he's going to start off the year 2-6, beating Northern Arizona and Eastern Michigan, and then he's getting fired after the Washington win, and I don't see him finishing out the year. But fortunately for them, they have three of the six worst teams remaining on their schedule. So I have them picking up wins against Colorado, Washington State, and Arizona.
I don't have them much better than Arizona. 4-8 overall, 3-6 in conference. I have them beating Arizona, beating Oregon State, and on the road beating Colorado. It's just not a happy place to be in Arizona. I guess the best thing for both of those teams might be a future invite to the Big 12.
I do not want to be disrespectful to Herm Edwards. I think he's a pretty good coach. But Trey, you said he's on the hot seat, and I would respond with what seat? I think that thing done burned up, and I really don't want to be disrespectful, but it's hard for me to believe that he will finish this year as Arizona State's coach. And I don't think it has anything to do with job performance. I think it has to do with the pending NCAA investigation into them. I think there's been so much staff overturned. It's been just about everyone on that staff has been fired except him. And I'm surprised he's still there right now. But I think there's too much talent on this roster for me to say anything less than 5-7, 4-8. I think they pick up a lot of those wins, or at least half of them, on the front half of that schedule. And if you get wins early, especially in the non-con, and you got to pick up 3, I think there's just enough talent on that team for an interim or Herm Edwards to be able to find some wins there. If he stays, and I think he's a good coach, I think you could go as good as 7-5. I'm not sure you're gonna have that team. I'm not sure you're gonna be able to keep the locker room that long, especially if anything happens with the head coaching situation. And I'm not here to predict bad news, but it's shocking that I think he's still there, and I would be surprised if he's there the entire year. And mentioned it earlier, just a few minutes ago. Don't shoot the messenger. I really hope that I'm wrong for your sake. Moving on to Colorado. Trey, you got them at 3-9, and then it's for our predictions, it's just downhill from there.
Yep. The only thing going for themselves is that campus. That campus is a beautiful campus with the mountains in the background. That's pretty much all I can say about Colorado. I have them winning 3 games this year, which is not very good. I have them beating Air Force, which is hopefully a win for them. Arizona, which I believe is going to be like a for sure win. And then I have them beating Oregon State at Oregon State as an upset of the year for them.
I believe Colorado may be the absolute worst Power 5 team in the nation. The only thing harder than going 12-0 is going 0-12, I think. So I have to give them a win. And I apologize to all my Air Force buddies, but I see their only win this year being on the road against Air Force. which is not that far of a road for them to go, but going 0-9 in conference, 1-11 overall, and falling way short of their Vegas over/under of 3.5 wins.
Okay, moving on. Quentin? 2-10. Okay. He has not said a word this whole time. I don't know what's going on. Rob, I'm right there with you. Let me look at my schedule and see which win I gave them. I got them beating Cal. That was the thing earlier. That's the game. I got them upsetting Cal at home after a bye week. And so that's the game I didn't want to talk about with Cal earlier because that would have been the only. I didn't want to talk about Colorado's only win on my schedule when I'm not talking about it. I just wanted to have a little bit of respect for that. The last ounce. And I really apologize if any of y'all Colorado fans and if y'all go 5-7, 6-6. Please shove this clip right in my face and prove me wrong. I will gladly eat my words because I don't feel right being what I consider to be disrespectful of a program, especially a program that has been very good in the past. I just don't know what to say.
When was the last time they were good? When they were in the Big 12?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to disrespect Joel Klatt's alma mater. He's a Fox analyst. He used to be quarterback there back in the, I think it was mid 2000s is when he was there, maybe late 2000s. But moving on, we're probably going to spend a lot more time on these three schools because I find these three to be some of the most interesting coming into this year, especially that second one coming up. I think there's going to be a good bit to talk about. But now we'll start off with Chip Kelly and UCLA.
Feel about UCLA. I don't see them going anything low 4, but I don't see them running the table or even going 10-2. I feel like 9-3 is a perfect spot for them. Fortunately, they have a pretty easy non-con games with Bowling Green, Alabama State, and South Alabama, and they're in the Pac-12, which is arguably the worst Power 5 conference. So they're going to pick up wins. I feel like their losses are going to come at Oregon, which is expected because Oregon's just a better team. I have them losing to USC this year at home, and then an upset for them is losing to Cal at Cal because I feel like they're going to be riding high after I think that's week 10 with only having one loss in their schedule, and they're going to trip and fall in the last 2 games.
So you got them beating Utah at home?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow, okay.
Yeah, that's a big one not to talk about.
Yeah, I think that's a game you want to mention, Trey.
I was gonna wait till I got to Utah to talk about that.
Okay. Well, I've got them 9-3. I think these last 3 teams are 3 of the 4 best teams in the conference.
I would agree. Them and Oregon.
Yeah, throw Oregon in there. I've got them losing to 2-game losing streak, unfortunately. They got Utah and on the road to Oregon. I've got them losing to USC as well. So probably the worst of the top 4 teams, but I'm going to save something for USC.
All right. Me and Quentin, just a little bit higher. I think me and him both have the exact same schedule for them because we consulted a little bit as we went over it, just bouncing ideas off each other. He and I both have them losing Utah, going for a bye week, and then losing at Oregon. So we both have them beating USC. I think it's been a slow build for UCLA. Chip Kelly is finally slowly recruiting, just getting his pieces that he needs. And I think this is the year that they pop. I think it was either 8-4 or 9-3 last year. And so I don't think it's a major step up or a major thing to say, oh, they can go 10-2. I think let me check their win total really quick. It is set at 8.5. Oh, wow. It's set at 8.5. at least when this was made. And when I tried to keep all my games within a game and a half of the Vegas numbers, and I think there was like I think there was a one override, one or two overrides, and it never went past 2.5 games, and so they're well within what I would consider well to predict, and I think 10-2 is definitely in the cards, and I think that's what you hope for and what you should expect from a UCLA team this year. Especially if you're a fan, you should want improvement year over year until you can get to the top of that conference. Obviously, Chip Kelly is capable of it, as we've seen him be a successful college and NFL coach. And so I think this is the year that they finally get that double-digit win mark. And I think Quentin has the exact same thought process with that. Maybe with a little bit of convincing from me. I just tell him what to think. Just a little bit.
Big brother.
Quentin, if you're watching this, then please take disrespect with it. Moving on to the Trojans.
This sounds very familiar to my name, but that's besides the point. I have them going 9-3. Fortunately, for most of the good teams in the Pac-12, they're in the Pac-12, and they also have pretty easy non-con games to start off the year with Rice and Fresno State. I have them losing at Oregon State, which is a surprise for most people. I just feel like that's going to be an upset for them. I feel like that's going to be a hiccup, especially with the new coach, new quarterback in the system. It's just not going to function the right way to start off the year. And then I have them going to Utah and losing, which is expected because Utah is one of the best teams in the Pac-12, if not the best. And then I have them finishing the year losing to Notre Dame. I just don't think they can beat the Fighting Irish.
Okay. I have the exact same 3 losses: Oregon State, Utah, Notre Dame. This team, going back to what Mathis said in the previous discussion in the Big 12 of figuring out how a team is going to play out, there are so many changes. I think if any team can compete with Texas for not really knowing what's going to happen, that's this team. Vegas has them at 9.5. I've got them at 9-3 only because I'm leaning towards them fulfilling what they're supposed to do. But I could see them going 6-6 as well. The only for sure win I have them is that their first game of the season against Rice, because as you all know, you don't lose to food.
Shout out, late kick. All right, are you done, or is there anything else you want to add to that? All right.
17.
So Quentin is right there with us. We think we all got the same record for him. Ugh. There's just so much turning over, and I don't know if any of y'all have seen previous videos. I've touched on it just a little bit. I am not a fan of the transfer portal rebuild model. It's just your team has to have some chemistry, and so you turn over a lot. And luckily for them, I think it's successful for the most part because you have Caleb Williams, you have Lincoln Riley, and you have Mario Williams, who are all
Jordan Addison.
I'm talking about specifically Oklahoma guys.
Yeah.
And so your quarterback, your playbook, and your head coach are all the same. And I think that's the most important thing, and that's why you're mainly successful.
But you know what, Mathis? You had that basically the same team in Oklahoma, and they didn't make it to the Big 12 championship.
They went 10-2 though.
They did, but they should have been better than or actually the way they played last year, they should have lost worse. 2 or 3 other games.
Yeah.
I just don't, everyone's real high on Lincoln Riley going to USC and bringing Caleb Williams. I just don't see it happening. I mean, I've got them 9-3. I'm kind of falling into that trap, but I would not be surprised, like I said, if they go 6-6.
Yeah, I'm more talking to the USC fans who are going to be mad at us for not saying they're going 11-1. And I don't want to be biased at all, and I don't want to be disrespectful, but I know there's going to be a whole lot of USC fans who are coming off an 8-4 year who think that they should be entitled for us to pick them to be 9-3, or who would be upset about 9-3 pick. And I think they're going to be I think they're going to be good. One thing they do not have, they don't have any defense.
Yeah.
But I think they
And
win.
you can't win without that.
But I think you're going to win a lot of games because your offense is going to be your defense. You're just going to be able to put so many points on the board. You got.
They got a really good fight song.
Yeah, they do got a good fight song, but you got.
As you get to play teams out of conference, though, especially in the SEC, them not having a defense is not going to work because they're going to be consistently stopped on the offensive side of the ball just because the SEC defenses are so much better than what they play all year, and SEC offense is just as good, if not better, than the USC offense.
What they do benefit from is the schedule they play, and so I think that they can get away and hold a lot of they can mask a lot of their flaws by just putting a lot of points on the board because I don't think there's a whole lot of teams who can score with them. So I think it works about 75% of the time, especially on this schedule. I think that the better teams that you play, the harder the time you're going to have. But I think Lincoln Riley is a great young coach, and you got some concerns at O-line. You got some concerns on your defense. Hopefully, as you go to the Big Ten, that allows you to keep some more of the guys in your state. Maybe if you start if you go 9-3 or 10-2, it's going to attract a lot of people because it is a very favorable destination to go to. They've just been down, so I think it's inevitable that USC and UCLA both turn things around and do very well over the next few years. But I don't think it's an overnight thing like a lot of people would suggest having them. Some people have them ranked inside the top 10 after going 4-8. I just can't. I just can't see that first year.
Yeah.
And so I think they end up. I think it would be with this prediction they'd end up 4th in the conference, and it's building towards a lot of great things. I think you're gonna have a great recruiting class. There's a lot to be excited about as a USC fan, and I think that a 5-game improvement from last year is a great. And so moving on to what I think we all have the best team in the conference.
I agree with what you said. I think Utah is the best team in the conference. I have them at 10-2 on the graphic because I might have said earlier that I think that they were going to beat Oregon, but I'm just not sure about that game. So I put loss in for both of those teams. I feel like the only loss that I could pick out is at UCLA. I feel like that week is UCLA is coming off a long stretch of games that I feel like they should win by a lot of points. And so I feel like UCLA is going to be rolling. I have them. That's going to be a shootout game for me. I just have Utah losing that game, and I'm not sure about the Oregon game. So either 11-1 or 10-2 is where I have them finishing this year.
I'm at 11-1. Don't really have much to say about them. I think they're head and shoulders the best team in the conference. The only blemish I have on their record is, unfortunately for them, they have to play someone from the SEC, and it's on the road in Florida. So that they lose that game, and then they go 11-0 from the 11-game winning streak.
See, that's just one thing I don't see.
I'm calling it right now.
That's just one thing I don't see right now. It's going to be Billy Napier's first game. And one thing that Florida does not have, and I don't want to touch too much on them because we're going to talk about them, I think it's tomorrow. But they don't have any depth. And this Utah team almost beat Ohio State last year. Like, they were about that. They were a field goal away from beating Ohio State. And I think they return a lot. I think they're one of the few teams that returns their head coach, quarterback, and both coordinators. I think they're going to be great. Right now, I have the only penciled in loss, and I just in the pencil, not pen, but I got them losing to, I think it's Oregon. in the second to last week of the year. And so the question I have for Dan Lanning, because I think the way the wins go out in here is it'd be Utah, Oregon once again. Can you beat Utah twice? And I don't think you can. So I think Utah. I've only said about one other team so far because it's the only other team I'm thinking about. I think Utah, right now, if I had to guess, would be in the playoff. And so I think 12-1 Utah makes the playoff. And I think the other team I've said so far, what have we gone through? Big Ten and ACC? So it'd be Ohio State. I think I got Utah and Ohio State in the playoff for next year.
It's a bold take.
All right, man. It's okay.
Give it about a 7.
A 7?
Maybe a 6. A 6.
Making it though. I have them one of my playoff contenders for this year.
I haven't looked at that yet. I've only gone as far as the conference championships. But if I had to put money on it, I'd pick. Right now, I'd go with Utah and Ohio State, and then I'd probably go with 2 SEC teams.
I don't see 2 SEC teams next year. We'll talk about that tomorrow. I might have to make some tweaks. I don't know. I think saying that 2 teams from any conference making it is bold in a year. Even the SEC.
Every other year.
It's not something I feel comfortable predicting. Unless you're like really, really high on both teams. Which we're high on a lot of teams in tomorrow's episode. But
We're low on a lot of teams too.
Yeah. But Kyle Whittingham, I think.
Well, okay.
I think
you've already said it. You set yourself up. You said the ACC is the worst conference, right?
No.
Or Big 12 or Pac-12. Pac-12, but you're giving them a playoff team.
If Alabama played in the Sun Belt, would the Sun Belt be the best conference?
No. I
would
agree.
They have a playoff team?
What I'm saying is, other than Utah, I find it hard to give Big 12, ACC, or Pac-12 a contender in the playoffs.
Yeah, you got to be.
I think Utah is the best one of those 3 conferences to make it, and I'm not going to give 2 to the Big Ten. I mean, I guess I could.
Here's why it's hard for me to predict. And sorry, this video might run a little bit long now because we're talking about playoff. So if we're talking about last year, we're talking about the usual suspects. We're talking about Alabama and Georgia. Here's what has to happen for both of them to make the playoffs. You either have to be undefeated going into the SEC championship, or you have to have 1 loss and also win. And so then you got 2 1-loss. And
Sneak peek, I have one of those teams doing it this year.
And so it'd be bold for me to say Georgia and Alabama are both going undefeated. So I think it's entirely possible that Alabama drops a game in a regular season and then also loses to Georgia. I think Alabama is going to be the best team in the country this next year. Spoiler alert. I don't really think it's that much of a spoiler, but so I'd have to say that Georgia is not going to have any problems with the 9 players. They lost 7 on the defense. So you're going to have 4 returning starters on the defense, and I think you're going to go undefeated and then also make the playoff. That's just hard for me to predict. It's a very select club.
We are getting into spoilers, but I will have to say you are correct, Mathis. That's one way of 2 teams making it into the playoffs.
I know what you're saying. We're not going to get into spoilers, but
I say there's another way.
If you look at his hat, you'll know exactly what he's talking about.
Okay.
And I mean, there's only so many playoff caliber teams. The problem is you gotta your schedule's gotta show it. And so even if Alabama lost that SEC championship last year to Georgia, and they lost, let's say they lose by a field goal there and then lost a field goal to A&M like they did, you can't tell me that's not one of the top 4 teams in the country. They absolutely
Oh
were.
no. Yeah, I agree. I
And
agree.
so
That was a rare thing for them making it in with 2 losses. I agree.
they
I'm
had
saying
one loss.
there's another way of making it without even going to the SEC championship.
Yeah, I know. I know what you're referring to. But the same thing could happen with Ohio State and Michigan.
True.
And I think that's entirely likely too. Both of them could make it. We're
And
not.
we've already talked about that. And that's personally what I had them both undefeated going into that last game of the year.
And so we're gonna have. Are we? I don't want to get into that too much because I don't want to talk about how it's a lock that Ohio State and Michigan both are making the playoff before games have been played. That's what's great is we're gonna be able to test out these theories.
It is interesting how we're starting to talk about playoffs just as we're going into the SEC. Right?
It just means more.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm sure you can see by his hat that tomorrow is gonna be an interesting episode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, that's all we got for you today. This is the end of our doubleheader. I'm going to get some dinner now. It's about 9 o'clock. We've had a lot of fun. We hope y'all have had a good time. If y'all could like and subscribe to the channel. At the top of the screen, we got our socials. If you have any questions for us, hit us up there. We got our email down below. And so once the season starts, we're going to be having some question and answer. If any of y'all are interested in asking us questions or thinking what have any want to hear our opinions or anything like that, I've had a great time. Give us any feedback if y'all'd like, and appreciate y'all watching.
This guy.
Oh my gosh.
This guy.
You want to fight?
Sure. Well, I'm about to get on. Just knock on the door and I'll turn my camera off.
Oh my goodness.
Right as the episode is ending.
Quinn, was that your mommy?
Yeah.
Oh my. We were just closing out. We might have to keep that for the blooper reel.
Yeah, maybe. What'd y'all go over? Are y'all still rolling?
Yeah, we're still rolling. So, do you want me to just? Do you want to say bye to everyone and then we'll close out?
Yeah, you went live talking to your mommy.
That's my mom too. So don't be mean.
Happens to be the best sister-in-law in the world, I might say.
Great mom. All right. Well, everyone say bye. We're leaving now for real this time.
See you tomorrow.
All right. Bye.